What's up, it's Jim from Teknovault, and in this video I'll show you how you can create analog sound design in Serum for techno production. So as you know, techno obviously originated in the 90s, 2000s, and they had analog synthesizers. So we're trying to emulate that because it's in our best interest, because we get back to that classic techno sound that it's well known for. And Serum is a great plugin to do this. Before I dive into it, make sure to join our Discord with the link below. There's a lot of techno production in there, as well as giveaways, contests, and I'm sure you'll love it. So let's get right into it. Serum initialized preset. The first thing you want to do is realize you have different waveforms. So people just use this saw wave that they get loaded up with. You get to use analog waveforms here, and they're there for a reason, because they're taken from analog synthesizers and they emulate that feeling. So when you're making a Psy bass, for example, consider using the basic MCB instead of normal saw wave, and you'll see it gets a little bit more snappy. Let's just start off with this instead, and you can change it to make it a little bit more analog, but yeah. Second thing that really helps is playing around with the unison, the detune, and most importantly, the randomization of the phase. So here's how it would sound if you didn't know this knob did anything. It adds a little bit of like a laser ploppy effect or whatever it's called. I'm not smart enough to explain what's really going on, but basically when you put this on random, the waveform is going to start at random points. And the more you get this down, the more it will be narrowed down into that region, and then you get that. So if you add a lot of unison, take down the detune, you get a very narrow, squeezed, like phasey, warm saw. And it's much better than this. That's a very nice trick. So I like to add a little bit of detune like this, and really enjoy that detune sound with a little bit of that warm analog feeling. The third thing that you can then do is go into the filter section and realize that there are dedicated analog filters. So instead of using the low series right here, you could use the MG low series, which is obviously the default, and then two filters that everyone always forgets, which is the French low pass and the German low pass. So using these instead of your normal filters will give you a more analog feeling, because they're analog filters. So in this case, I could create envelope 2, add that to the cutoff here. And I get a pretty analog feeling, which is great. So with the French low pass, as you can see, if I add a lot of resonance and a little bit of both, or whatever it's called, and drive, you can see that much more is going on actually. You can see if I drive it, like there's these random spikes in the filter, which just emulate an analog feeling a little bit more so. And then one more thing you can do in Serum that is dedicated to make everything a little bit more vintage and analog is the distortion section. And in here, you can use distortion modes like stomp box, tape saturation, or a diode or a tube. And these should emulate that a little bit. The tape saturation is great. One thing you can then do is also introduce a little bit of noise, because these analog synths is like electrical circuits, so they're obviously going to pick up a little bit of noise over time and, generate noise on the background. So in this case, you can use something like a G60 or whatever. Pretty nice. Another thing that might make it a little bit more warm, not per se vintage or analog, is a chorus section that's like focused on the mids, low mids. Then you can also use the filter again. So feel free to kind of stack filters. You can do this. And then add the same thing in here as well. And then use the MG low series, for example. And then I could just load up melodic techno MIDI. Something you can do to make it a little bit more warm as well, add some release. Make sure it's mono. And maybe get rid of the bass slightly. Just add it to make it a little bit more spicy. It also is a little bit of a lead series. Add some ping pong delay or normal delay, whatever you want. Add some like this. And don't filter it too much, because that's, new. It's obviously not a big tutorial. You're done in a few minutes, but I just wanted to show you these tricks, which is just play around with the waveform. Make sure you're selecting analog waveforms, then work with the unison, detune, and randomization. Then play around with the filters. The MG lows are great, the German low pass and the French low pass are great. Finally, just use tape saturation or tube or a stomp box and you get these pretty nice, you know, warmer synths. Because if you don't use this and you don't use this and this and this, and you use the normal basic shape and you use low thingy like this, you don't really get a nice, you know, still great, but you can spice it up, and I just did that, you know. So don't forget to join our server. Hope you enjoyed the video, and you can download this for free on our website if you care to get this lead. I'll throw in some other leads as well for free. Make sure to download that. Thanks for watching and have a really nice day.